Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. I'm going to do a general message for whoever that lands on this. Just because whenever I do live streams, I like to do them for whoever that lands on the channel because the channel is new. So if you're going to resonate with this message, then do me a favor. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and write the magic word in the description box. You may say, well, what is the magic word? Well, the magic word is needy. Needy. We'll see how that relates to your message. Now, if you do those three things, it automatically gets you into entering into winning a free psychic reading with me. So if you got to like and subscribe to the channel, that's good karma. But if you write the word, you also get something out of it. Now, all readings that I give away are done live stream. This way it's, in alignment for everyone. Like the meaning, it's the best interest for everyone. Best for me because I get to display the type of reading that it is. Best for the person that actually gets to listen because, again, whoever winds up listening to this message, they're going to wind up resonating with it. A lot of times, that's how spiritual energy works. And then obviously, the person that wins the reading, they get to get the reading. So I believe in, again, when things are in alignment, that's what that means. It means it's what's beneficial for everyone involved. Now, when we have an imbalance, it's usually because we are compromising somewhere. And we can always feel when things are imbalanced. They just don't work right. They're just not in the flow. They're not in alignment with our highest good. And here on the Psychic Soul Healer channel, I'm all about that. Of course, I want to see what goes on within your situation. Who doesn't want to see what happens in their situation? But the bigger thing are the spiritual blocks, the karmic lessons. Why? Because whether you like the guy today, tomorrow, you may not like the person like 2 weeks down the road, especially if you're not healed and then all of a sudden you get healed. Usually the things that used to work in your life usually don't because you're on a different vibration. So integrating the spiritual wounds, which are the karmic lessons that have kept you limited, which have kept you stuck in a shadow. Here we integrate those shadows, and that allows you to create the life and the life that experiences that you want to have. People that have spiritual blocks are not living the life experiences that they want to have. They are living the life experiences of their consequences, their karmic consequences. So that doesn't mean that they're bad. Healing means that we have a distorted perception. In the cards, it will tell us that. In the cards, it will tell us how your person is thinking about you. What is their motive? A lot of times, a person's motive really isn't bad. However, how they conduct themselves is bad. So, again, there's only two energies, love and fear. And so, to integrate, we're integrating the fear. I just always like to put that out there because it's really important. If you need to know anything more about the channel, you can find it in the description box below. You can also find my subscriptions there. I have not just coaching subscriptions, which $7.99 a month and $9.99 a month. $9.99 a month gets you every single day shadow healing coaching, and you get files on how to work on your own. Okay, because really, when we do shadow healing, we need to do it every day. It needs to be incorporated every day. It's like a habit because you're reconditioning your mind. You're creating new neurological pathways in your mind, which will make your behaviorisms that are more in alignment with who you are today become automatic instead of you acting from your past conditioning. This is why we want to do our healing every day. So that's why I have the $7.99 and the $9.99 package, because who needs to pay thousands of dollars? No one, it's too expensive. We, here at the Psychic Soul Healer channel believe in working every single day, but it's got to be incorporated in your day, and so that eventually you're, you've created yourself without going broke. That there's a lot of great healers out there. I'm not saying that there aren't, and I'm not saying that their work isn't good. But what I'm saying is, when we have shadows, when we have blocks because we've gone through traumatic experiences, we've again created almost like a coding on us. And these codings are like the behaviorisms and the habits of who people identify us with now, who we perceive ourselves with, but they're not in alignment with our true self. So to work with someone for 2 weeks, to go to a beach for 2 weeks and be like, oh, you're healed, you're out of it. A lot of times it doesn't mean that it wasn't helpful, but not everyone can afford to do that. I know my parents had blocks. My father had cancer 9 times. My mother tried to kill me several times. She, again, psychologically was as sick as my father was physically sick. Sick goes to sick. Again, when we're talking about shadows, when we're talking about psychic trauma and how that relates and how it plays out within our everyday experiences, my parents would not be able to afford to spend $3,000 to go to a beautiful retreat for 10 days. That's not where they started. Most people that really suffer with trauma, they're suffering and they're alcoholics, and they're continually sabotaging themselves. They're continually getting in their own way. They're considered the drudgeries of society because they can't make their life work. So they're not paying $3,000 to go on a retreat. They need something affordable, and we always have to start where we are. So I like to put that out there. Take advantage of the $7.99 and the $9.99 subscriptions, because it's every day you show up for yourself, and it's really healing. A large part of it is giving yourself the love, because let me tell you something: when we have blocks, we are needy, emotionally needy. And you may say, well, I make enough money and I do well in my job. Well, it's again emotionally needy. Spiritually sick people can make money. They actually can be in a relationship too. It's just their life tends to look like a roller coaster. It gets good and then it gets bad, and then it's good and then it's bad. And so it's again, your thoughts create your reality. So let's start. Where are my cards? I'm looking for my cards. The Psychic Soul Healer deck is always what I like to start off with. That's going to let us look at the psychological and the emotional aspects of you, which are your spiritual energies. Again, this can be a message for anyone that lands on it. But you can also say, well, it doesn't resonate with me. It might resonate with someone close to you because you're tapped into that person. And maybe your life is just steady and nothing's going on, and they're at the forefront of your mind. Sometimes that happens, and that would happen because if you're attached to someone on an emotional level that you care about, and maybe you need to understand why they're acting a certain way, why they're behaving a certain way. And then you need to see how that's triggering you, because that's where your healing is. All right. Sometimes healing is like unfolding a puzzle. It's like, it's unfolding a mystery. Like you look for clues, right? And those clues bring us deeper and deeper into ourselves. It's like peeling an onion, they say, because you find these clues, you get to the end of it, you think you're healed, and then sometimes those wounds come bubbling back up that you think that you healed, and sometimes it only uncovers another wound. So we look at the first card out, and that's Spirit Descending. Love that card. That's the higher self. And there's one, the higher self, the God part of ourself, which is a deity part of self that you and I connected to right now. It doesn't logically make sense. It's like you show up here, that you're listening to other people talk to get your message. The spirit part of self, it's a vibe, it's an energy, you can feel it. And like I said, the spirit part of ourself is actually the best part of ourself because it doesn't hold any blocks. So it's a creative part of ourself. So this is saying pretty much that you are very comfortable in the process of creating yourself right now. So you may be learning something within your career. You may be, again, focusing very much on your career or a hobby, something of the creative process, but something that allows you to, again, like ground and heal and what inevitably really heal this needy energy. So if you're attached to someone that is needy, which we will see, um, your energy wouldn't be in alignment with their energy anymore because you're, again, when your spirit is descending and this spirit part of self is grounded through the act of creating yourself, well, you're giving yourself love, and that's how you're not needy, and that's how you would raise your vibration. But it doesn't mean that at one time that you weren't needy. I feel like you're attached to someone that's going through a dark night of the soul right now. And I also feel like for a while you were in a bit of a slump and you've come out of that dark night of the soul. I feel like you actually were in the dark night of the soul, came out of a dark night of the soul, and this is why your spirit is descending. And I also feel like you were attached to someone. So maybe you're attached to some soulmate twin flame that is actually mirroring the same type of energy that you have right now. Victim. See, dark night of the soul, usually we go through a dark night of the soul because everything in our life that is collapsing, things, major things in our life, things that made us um, things that we perceive were important structures in our life. So it could be the job that you had, it could be a relationship that you had. So I'm feeling again that it's either you or the person that you to is again in this energy of victim, because again they've gone through a dark night of the soul as they were in victim, and it was mainly because they were needy. I wanted to see how that word needy played in, because again the word of the day always is tied in somehow to the energy that is in the forefront of your mind. So this pretty much is the person that you may be connected to is going through a dark night of the soul. And in the fact that they're going through a dark night of the soul, they're not around you, they're not giving you anything. And so you are putting the energy into yourself and growing yourself. So you might have been needy at one time, but you're not needy anymore because this person didn't show up for you. I also feel, again, that when they didn't show up to you, they assume that you would act like the victim and that you were going to be so devastated, and you completely weren't, and you shocked them. So you bruise their ego also, because they're not just going through a dark night of the soul where certain structures in their life are falling apart, but again, how, what they perceived of you. And I feel like they really misjudged you, and they feel sheepish. Like if you're going to talk to this person, they're going to come back and they're going to act like, they like may hope that you feel sorry for them, like they didn't have any part of this situation, like if they were the victim to it all, but they know why they're in the situation that they're in. So I feel like there's a part of, like, almost like roles have reversed, the tables have turned. This person was very, very cocky at one time, and I feel like now they're not, because they perceive that their life was almost better, that they could do whatever they wanted to do. And they expected you again to fawn and chase after them, and you didn't do that. And because you didn't do that, like I said, I feel like they're going through a dark night of the soul right now, because they're seeing that your career is doing well. They see that you're doing well. It's almost like they don't even recognize who you are anymore. I'm so attracted to you. So then we still know that they're still spying on you from afar. This is what I feel like, even though that they're not talking to you. And understand, this would make sense, because understand, when we have a person that we're connected to and they're affecting us so much. Well, that's a soulmate. And understand you've affected them. So to the point that they're looking at their life, they did not like your life before. They had perceptions of your life, and possibly because I feel like you're very humble and they're very showy. And they feel again now that they're seeing you through again a different perception, which a lot of times this happens when we need healing. When we need healing and we have a lot of wounds, we're looking at people through that distorted perception. And we're going to want to logic it, we're going to want to reason it, we're going to want to control it. And but at the end of the day, when it's like I'm so attracted to you, means that I can't stop thinking about you. It means I fantasize about you. It's the passion that really is that fire element in alchemy that transmutes wounds a lot of times. And what I'm seeing is because your person acting like a jerk, I feel as if, your spirit descended and you created yourself and that put that person into a dark night of soul. And that's why they're the victim. But what did it do for you? It gave you confidence. You're in a different space now because you gave yourself the love. You raised your vibration. So this is the overall energy. And what they say is, wow, that's hot. That's hot. That's how they see it, because it's like they've never dealt with that before. It's almost like whatever shit that they handed you, you handed right back to them. Calm down. Okay. I wish I could take back my words. Yeah, like I said, I felt like that was it. It was almost like they haven't had time to think about what they did. I feel like they've had a lot of time to reflect on it, and that doesn't necessarily mean just what they did. It was your reaction. It's all elements, and I don't think this person would have normally cared how they treated you. To be honest with you, they would have never known your importance. To be honest with you, unless you walked away, is what I'm feeling. I wish I could share my good news with you. I feel like whatever they're entwined in, and this is really, like I said, I felt like there was a lot of things in their life that are falling apart right now, which is what normally happens with the dark night of the soul. It's not just one thing. And were you part of that? Yes, you were part of that. However, their spirit, I feel like, is actually descending also in the fact that they're leaving a bad situation. They're leaving relationships that no longer serve them, businesses that don't normally, again, major structures in their life. And they want to share that because I think that they admire, I think they look up to who you are. Like I said, it's like I'm not just attracted to you because of how you look. I'm attracted to you because of how you conduct yourself. Because I perceived that you were going to act like everybody else. So I treated you like everybody else. And you're not like everybody else, which is why I feel like they're in that dark night of the soul. Because, like I said, it's made them look at who they are. But that's making them to change their life. And so we can see why this is, again, a significant relationship. It's a soul relationship. I love you. We can end it almost like right here because it's like, okay, they have feelings, but let's look and see what they're going to do. And let's look at their blocks because, listen, people can go through experiences and learn from the experience. However, our behaviorisms and our habits and our patterns and the way that we have conditioned ourselves to conduct ourselves are like, again, we have to recondition. Healing is not just about saying, oh, I learned, I want forgiveness, I'm going to ask for forgiveness, but it's new behavior. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in a karmic cycle. And a karmic cycle is where I feel like this person continually lives in karmic cycles. And, I feel like you're in a good place. Like I said, I felt like you were feeding yourself. And feeding yourself, meaning like in your craft, like advancing in your career, doing things for your career, um, creating really like a lot of support for yourself. And, this person, I'm not saying that they don't have feelings. What I'm saying is they had bad behavior, and I don't want to see reappearing karmic things. And then the karmic cycle, and the karmic cycle is like a karmic loop. It's like, here we go again. Why did I take this person back? And it becomes over time like a psychic cord one, and it just those turn into karmic contracts, and where you're back, you're forth, you're on, you're off with these relationships. And then if you're not back and forth with those relationships, you're attracting the same type of relationship, or you find that you're in the same type of relationship. And that's what I'm saying. So I'm happy that we looked in to see like what your person did and how they feel and what your energy was. However, my concern again is the karmic stuff. So I want to see what spirit recommends to deal with this situation. What should we be looking at? Honoring your inner feelings. So you might find that when you're with this person, because there is a very strong connection, that you would again abandon yourself, again, your wants, your needs to accommodate this person, which I'm pretty sure that they're banking on. I feel like that's the issue. Is when I pulled needy, I said there again, my opening card, the card of the day, this card that you put in your description box. If you want to win that free reading with me, again, enter into winning that free reading with me. Well, how does it relate? Why is your person in dark night of soul? Person in dark night of soul because you walked away, but it's again, it was like a domino effect. It's a lot of other things in their life collapsed too, which made them look at their own life. And now they're perceiving you in a different light. And so, again, you're in a good place. And people, when they want healing, they seek out people that they admire, that they feel like will do good because they want to be associated with that. They want to, be around that so that other people perceive them that way too. Well, you might, if you're caring more about that person and accommodating that person, then you're not honoring your own feelings because you're feeling too much of their feelings. And remember, this person's is not coming from a balanced place. Just because they come out through a dark night of the soul, it does not mean they're balanced because they haven't found who they are. Remember, every structure in their life has crumbled, which means where is their life? They don't have it. They have to create a new life. And it doesn't mean that they can't create a new life. That means get a new job. It means move. It means, do whatever they have to do that's going to let them perceive that they're strong on their own. Remember, they're in a place of dark night of the soul. We don't feel like we're on top of the world. Usually it's, again, we are going through dark night of the soul because we don't like the things. Like this is not an awakening. A dark night of the soul can bring us to an awakening. The dark night of the soul is almost like it's a place where it's a timeout. God puts us in a timeout where it is saying, look at your life. Everything in your life looks like shit because you were coming from this lower perception of who you perceive you are. But here you, again, and this person have a soul's connection, and they didn't treat you well. They treated you beneath, but you're actually the marker of what the life is really supposed to look like because you're happy and you're connected to friends, you're living your life. Again, your spirit's descending, which you're finding yourself, you're creating yourself, you're doing that. So you're inspiring this person. But so remember, it's about maintaining balance because when a person is needy, they're codependent. And codependency means, again, caring too much about the other person's feelings, and maybe again expecting that person to give you on some level. And what I'm telling you is that they can't. And not because they're not a good person, but it's because where they are. Okay. Problem resolved. So it's again, I believe that this is a soul's relationship. So I do believe that the problem can be resolved as long as you know what the spiritual block is. You can integrate that to shape shift your reality to get the outcome that you want. This is what healing's about. This is how you evolve into higher states of consciousness. This is how you can create your own heaven on earth. You create your own heaven on earth by, again, co-creating consciously, by not through creating through your wounds. And what we see is that this person is healing, the person that you're connected to. The karmic incident that would come is that this person is still needy. So again, you have to come from a place of balance. And maybe it's because you tend to also be needy or codependent when you get in relationships where it feels comfortable to overgive, and then what happens is you never get enough. And what this would be is if you gave everything now while this person isn't giving anything, you'd be unconsciously teaching them that they don't have to give you anything. And so why is this important? You don't want to wind up continually being in a relationship that's one-sided, where you feel like you have to give and you don't get enough in return because the person can't emotionally give you, because that's the way that the relationship started. Just because they came in balance, and people are creatures of habit, it wouldn't be that they were purposely doing it. It would be you taught them to treat you that way. And because you said, well, they're going through it, so I don't really want to do that. I don't want to make them feel bad. But if you don't, you'll never get what you want. And that's really, it's the person already has feelings. They are going to do whatever they need to do to make you happy. You need to be the person that's emotionally strong enough to set the boundaries so that they're going to treat you the way that they want. Because this is saying is the problem is going to be resolved, but understand is always knowing what to do. You bring out the best in me. I'm a better partner because of you. I want to cherish you forever. So I feel like, again, we're going to end here, because I feel as if this is a soul's relationship, and a soul's relationship, it doesn't mean that there weren't problems. I feel as if you and this person met at the wrong time. It just was the wrong time. And their life would have collapsed regardless of whether they met you or not. It just so happened that they met you before their life collapsed. And so they were coming from this other level of consciousness, which was a lower one, mainly from the ego part of self. Because remember, they expected to trigger you. They expected you to be so devastated when it didn't work out, and you really weren't. Which, again, that happened at the same time that their life was falling apart, which again made them it made them surrender their ego. It's making them surrender their ego. The ego is, that part of the mind that is made a lot of times out of survival mechanism. It's psychological survival mechanism. I don't want to see myself weak. I don't want to see myself as so. They had a chip on their shoulder. They were cocky. They thought, again, they could play it in a way that the consequences were never going to catch up to them. And what happened is everything caught up to them. But you, the whole time, were the marker. In the beginning, they wanted to manipulate their way to, getting what they want, leading mainly only from passion. And now what they see is that your quality, and, they really want to do that. So again, it's karma, so it's going to be dependent on how you allow them to treat you. And if you tend to be needy, or emotionally connected so much on an empathic level where you abandon yourself when this person can't give you. So it doesn't mean that they can't give. Knowing this, what it means is you have your life completely balanced and you have to, again, communicate and tell them what you need, hold them accountable. So this might mean the way that you talk to them. You might have not, or you might have spiritual blocks. Some of you might say, well, I don't really like, have to ask for what I need. They should just know. That's like expecting someone to read your mind, and you have spiritual blocks within your throat chakra. And maybe because you grew up in an environment where you weren't allowed to ask for what you need. So now spirit is bringing you this person, and you're going to have to ask exactly what you want. And is it going to feel uncomfortable? Of course it's going to feel uncomfortable. The whole I shouldn't have to ask me no is a response of like I have a wound there. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. It makes me feel like it's, and spirit says, well, that needs to be integrated because I created the world with my voice, and you too can create the world with your voice, but not if you're afraid to ask. If you're afraid to ask, your relationship is not going to go very well. Otherwise, then you're going to try to emotionally manipulate each other over time, because that's what happens when two people don't know how to communicate. And that's how this person came into the relationship, trying to emotionally manipulate you. And then what happened is you left, which made them realize that wasn't the game to play. And spirit said, no, you should step up. And now they want to tell you. Now they want to share their good news. So we can see how by you being true to you and not being needy, we're caring about that person, even though you're connected to them. And I know that because there's still feelings on both parties' side, where there is attraction. There is, to the point that when I'm asking about you, their energy is all through the reading. So you made them look at themselves. And in that, you made them look at you and understand by you having good character, you bring a man to God, to spirit, through the way that you act, through how you giving yourself love, through, again, having good morals and good character. And this is what I see here. So that's why the reading is so smooth, because it's like the person realizes, like, you bring out the best in me, of course, because your character is good. And that's really when they learn how to surrender their ego, then we come to a place of unconditional love. And then we're not coming from a place of manipulation and neediness. We're just coming to what is supposed to be. And I'm going to end it there because there's nothing left to say here. It's a great reading for whoever it's for. And congratulations. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.